Alright everyone, welcome back.
ねえ、あなた、そんなに死にたくないの？
無論、わしは死ぬわけにはいかん。このまま死にたくはない。まだ世にとどまり、生を続けなくてはならん。だがそれもすでに限界。故に崩れぬ体、永劫不滅の器が欲しい。そのために
聖杯を手に入れようというの？死が恐ろしいから聖杯を求めるの？
はっ、死が恐ろしくない人間がいるのかね。よいか、いかな真理、いかな境地にたどり着こうと無駄なこと。自己の消滅、世界の終焉を克服することはできん。最後に知っておけ。目の前に生き延びる手段があり、手を伸ばせば届くというのなら、何者をも、たとえ世界そのものを犠牲にしても手に入れるのが人間だとな。
じゃあ、あなたは自分が生き続けるために他の人間をみんな犠牲にするっていうの？
おうよ。それで我が望みが叶うというのなら、世界中の人間を一人一人殺して回っておるわ。人の強欲は尽きぬもの。お主とて木々の一本一本が寿命を延ばす妙薬とすれば、この森など瞬く間に食らい尽くそう。たとえそれがわずか一日足らずの延命だとしてもな。己が一日のために世界の一部を殺していく。その願望はこの森だけでは飽き足らず、世界中の木々を殺すことになろう。その行いによって他人が滅びようと知ったことではない。当然であろう。もとより人間とはそのようにしてここまで広がり、育ち増え、肥満しきった有象無象。そこにもはや連鎖すべき法則など成り立たん。いずれ破綻するのであれば、わし一人が足並みを崩したところで誰にも異論は挟ませぬわ。
The old man speaks happily, after looking at him in surprise.
呆れたわ。そこまで見失ってしまったの、アキリ。
The girl speaks in a voice not her own.
何？
思い出しなさい。私たちの悲願、奇跡に至ろうとする絶望はどこから来たものなのか。私たちは何のために人の身であることにこだわり、人の身であるままに人あらざる地点に到達しようとしていたのかを。
His laugh stops. The old magus squints as if peering into the distant sky.
人形風情がよくも言った。ユスティーツァーの真似事も刷り込み済みというわけか。
He distorts his face in hatred and glares at the white girl.
もうよい。戯れはここまでじゃ。お主の体はいるが心になど用はない。アインツベルンの聖杯、このマキリ造剣がもらい受ける。
The old man's shadow creeps across the ground. With that, the pressure on the girl increases. The black giant enters the battle without waiting for the girl's order.
ダメ、戻ってバーサーカー！
The girl's voice does not reach him. The black giant, accompanied by a whirlwind, miles down the pressing shadow butt. Sounds of wind. The wind running through the forest and the shaking the trees is something I've heard before. The tremors are growing more intense. We're closing in on the source. It's probably on the other side of that thicket. The battle to decide the strongest is raging just behind those dense trees. My feet stop. A second before I burst into the open, I skid to a halt and hide myself.
まさか
Tosaka also hides behind a tree and stares at the disastrous scene in the clearing. The place is literally a battlefield. There are 3 servants fighting. One is the black giant berserker. Another is the white skull masked killer, assassin. And the last one... No! The last one is...
ちょっとあれまさか
Tosaka's voice is shaking. I can't really hear her. Even though she's right next to me, her whisper doesn't register for some reason. The third servant, I'm seeing the one clad in black armor for the first time. But
そんなことが
she reminds me of someone I know really well. The black giant howls. An attack powerful enough to destroy a mountain swings through an empty space, smashing down into the ground. Even the flying rebel does not cause her to falter. The source of the raging wind must be that black swordsman, and the black figure makes her way to the berserker's sword and the flying clods and attacks at his defenseless body. The anguish is the giant's. His body of steel can nullify almost any attack, but the black swordsman cuts it like nothing. The swordsman stains the giant's side black, just like darkness-consuming light.
ダメ逃げるのバーサーカーそいつにやられたら戻ってこれなくなるもう戦わなくていいから早く
Ilya sounds like she's crying.
無駄よ無駄キャツに囚われてはもはや逃れられん2対1ならばまだしも3対1ではサシモの大英雄もここまでだろうって
Mato Zoken laughs. The two masters, Ilya and Zoken, confront each other while their servants stand in front of them as shields. In front of Zoken is Assassin, who must have been defeated by Berserker. In front of Ilya is Berserker, his entire body covered in black. The ground beneath his feet has turned into a black pond. It is not soil, but a bottomless swamp sealing his movements. Not only that, but black veins are coming out of the swamp, restraining the giant's limbs. I know what that is. That has to be the Black Shadow. But for an instant, it looks like something I know. The deafening crash shocks me back to reality. The situation is hopeless. Berserker is strong. Even though the shadow has nearly engulfed him, he still stands against the swordsman. But he's at his limit. The black swordsman charges and slashes at the Berserker. Even if they are equally strong, Berserker's movement is further restricted with each passing second. Then, the balance will only tip further towards the swordsman the longer they fight.
勝負あったなあとは任せたぞアサシンこれ以上ここによっては巻き添えを食らいかねんバーサーカーが飲まれ次第アインツベルンの娘を捕らえ戻ってくるがよい
His figure grows hazy. He vanishes from the forest, leaving Assassin behind.
よいかキャツは目につくものならば見境なく飲むそれが魔力の塊ならばなおのことだアインツベルンの娘むざむざ飲まれることのないようにな
His presence, along with his figure, fades away. Zoken has disappeared. The only ones remaining are Assassin and Berserker, and the Black Swordsman raising her sword.
ダメそんなのバーサーカーでも死んじゃうだからもう逃げてよバーサーカー
Ilya murmurs in an emotionless voice. What did he make of that? The giant advances with a roar. His advance is like a storm. Berserker charges, kicking away the black shadow that has swallowed him up to his knees. It is an impossible action. The mud below him isn't the only thing binding him, as the black shadow is coiled all around his body. He cannot move forward. Berserker cannot even take a step forward with his body bound by the black shadow. For that reason, he tore his body apart. He grabbed his chest and tore off the black shadow with a sound. He tore off his flesh along with the shadow, going deep enough to expose his bones. The giant bursts into motion. With the force of a whirlwind behind it, the next swing will surely destroy the Black Swordsman. It will be his last attack. He has ripped his body apart and is executing this attack on the verge of his death. There's no way his attack isn't fatal. And in response, the swordsman meets it with her strong attack.
やだやめてバーサーカー
Ilya starts to run. She dashes frantically to Berserker as if she doesn't see the shadow expanding at his feet. Yeah! I can't do anything even if I go out now. I have no hope of winning against either the shadow or the swordsman. But still, I have to stop Ilya. 戻れ! ダメだ! Ilya! I jump out from behind the tree. I grab Ilya from behind as she runs toward Berserker. The mad warriors roar, the strong wind and an explosion that even takes away my vision. They all flow into my numb ears at once. I hold Ilya in my arms as the wind knocks me to the ground. White light fills my vision and I can't even manage to stand up. No, standing up has never crossed my mind. My body feels hot. Something deep within me resonates with the attack. I don't understand why, but this heat is in resonance with the noble phantasm. My breathing has been deadened, just like my vision. I can't do anything right now. My body will not function as a human being as long as that sword is engraved in my eyes. I'm entranced. My heart is taken away by something I only saw for an instant. That thing is an illusion far superior to the numerous other noble phantasms. There are many that are crafted more splendidly and with better skill. But the beauty of that noble phantasm is not its appearance. No, to describe this sword as beautiful would only dirty it. The sword is not beautiful, but sacred. People's conception, legends weaved only out of hope. It's not myth, nor is it inhuman work. It is a crystal trained by heart alone, and that is why that sword will reign as the strongest fantasy. My vision returns. The sky is lit with dark red light and a dark like night. The light that split the forest must have been darkness itself. The fire is burning silently, but the air is still cold. Is it something that freezes oxygen instead of burning it? The darkly lit forest lowers its temperature. Now, just like when we first met Seiba, that pose. The swordsman is standing with the black fire in the background. With Ilya still in my arms, I glare at the pointed sword. I don't feel any hostility from the swordsman. I fear my death, and at the same time grit my teeth in vexation. It's different. She's a different person. It's not just her hostility. I don't feel any of the nobility I previously felt from her. Her helm breaks. It must have been Berserker's last attack. Her face is revealed, and although she's completely different, she's still the same.
Seiba.
There's no reply. Excuse me. The now golden eyes do not reveal anything but plainly look down at us.
シロ
Ilya's voice is trembling. A sword is pointed at her, and Berserker is sinking into the shadow behind Seiba. The defeat of her servant and her impending death. Any young girl would tremble in this situation.
Seiba.
I shake off any unnecessary emotions. I hug Ilya harder and put strength into my free right arm. Now's not the time to be spaced out. I'm gonna save Ilya. I'm gonna save Ilya and return to my home. So I can't just cower and wait for my death. Seiba swings her sword. She tries to slash at me as I stand up, and at the instant parries 3 arrows shot from her side.
Archer!
I get to my feet, still holding Ilya in one arm.
止まるな！イリアを連れてさっさと逃げろ！
The swords clash. Archer shot at Seiba and attacked her without pause. But it doesn't do much. Even with his godlike speed, Seiba easily repels his twin blades. Archer's acting strangely. Looking, I see that the black shadow is entangling around his feet. Oh no, him too?
無様だな、アーチャー。清純の英霊ではあれの樹海藻には逆らえん。今の貴様はこの森に満ちる怨霊と大差がない。
The cool voice is definitely Saber's. She easily smashes the black shadow and... sends Archer flying to the forest behind him. She's struck with enough force to throw him back, in spite of his defense and the shadow holding his feet. And once again, Seiba confronts us silently. Her eyes, they tell me she has resolved to kill me if I do not hand Ilya over.
シロン
Ilya lets go of my arm. It seems she wants me to hand her over, and the last switch is tripped inside my head.
下がってろ。森まで行けば遠坂がいる。そこまで行けばなんとかなる。
I push Ilya behind me and grip the wooden sword with both hands. God, that look is scary, man. I hold it at the ready, right in front of me. I drive all my power and magical energy as soon as Seiba charges at me. That's all I can do now. I have nothing to say to her. I can't apologize, nor can I tell her to come back. I can't say something like that when she hasn't said anything herself. Seiba's in front of me as an enemy. Then the only way to answer her is to fight with all my might. I take aim. I won't even try to take her life at the cost of my own. Seiba taught me that such tactics are useless. An attack with the premise of your death is only effective against an opponent as strong as you. Against Seiba, I can't hope for something as good as a mutual kill. Therefore, I'm only aiming at one spot. Her helmet shattered, so her head must be damaged somewhat. That's where I'm gonna strike with all my might. I'll defeat my enemy and live on. Unless I get that clear image in my head, I won't even be able to match against Seiba. She's coming. Dodge it, dodge it, dodge it, dodge it. I don't care if I look miserable. I don't care if I have to crawl on the ground. Unless I dodge this attack, I can never protect Ilya. I'm dead. I don't know why that was just a little bit funny. I fought Seiba before, so I know this would be fatal. The lightning fast attack comes from the upper left. Slicing through my neck will be as easy as mowing rice. But my head is still attached. Seiba's sword stopped just shy of my throat. What happened? She silently sheathes her sword and jumps away. Could that be her reason? The black pond expands on the ground. The shadow is about to crawl out of there. I'm sure of it. That's the thing I saw at the park the other night. An unknown thing that's just like the cluster of a curse.
私の役目は済んだ。あとは貴公に任せる。
ありがたい。たやすい仕事だ。マジュヌーンに敗れた失点を取り返せる。
Seiba walks over to the black mud, and she sinks into the mud just like Berserker did. I watch her until she completely disappears. I don't care why she's still in this world or why she's my enemy now. Now that we're enemies, all we can do is fight. That is the nature of this war. But still, I think for a second, and that she wouldn't have been stained black like that if I had been stronger.
エミヤ君
Tosaka's voice brings me back to myself. In front of me are the approaching Black Shadow and Assassin, whose white mask is distorted with a smile.
逃げるぞ、イリア。
I take Ilya's hand and start running. Ilya takes one sad glance at the mud that swallowed Berserker, then keeps back her tears as she starts running. We run through the forest. In front of me is Tosaka leading the way. Behind us is Assassin pursuing us to the trees.
レミヤ君後ろ
She must be worried about us. Even though she could have escaped by now, she slows down and turns to look at us. I know that the enemy's right behind us, but I can't shake him off. Servant Assassin is after us. There's no way I can shake him off when I have Ilya with.
そこまでだ。お前はいらない。
I hear an ominous voice right by my ear. When I look to my side, I see a white death's head smiling as he licks the dagger. The masked figure is knocked away. While running beside me, Assassin is thrown off guard by a kick to the side.
奇襲でなければ小僧の首も落とせないのか。三流。
The irony now that Archer's protecting Shiro in this particular route is just strong here. Archer does not slacken his pace as he talks.
しんがりは任された。お前はイリアを連れて逃げろ。急げ。あれに追いつかれたら終わりだぞ。
Archer is looking at Assassin and something else that is coming from behind him. It's after us. That shadow is coming after us while staining the ground black.
アーチャー。
戦技は後だ。走れ小僧。イリアの手を取ったからには最後まで守り通せ。
Archer slows down a bit and goes behind us. At that instant, right before he leaves, he gives Ilya a look heavy with regret. I go through the forest with the sound of flashing swords at my back. As Assassin follows, he is obstructed by Archer's efforts. Unable to sustain the offensive, Assassin is once again forced to retreat. Their attacks are matched. Even the daggers thrown at me are shot down, and it's obvious that Assassin is not in control of the fight. But it's not because Assassin is weak. Archer repels the multitude of daggers. His vigor is incomparable to before. The scales of victory are tipping towards Archer. I don't know why, but he is the strongest of fierce god right now.
Kisama, なぜ動ける?
With even his strongest attack repelled, Assassin raises his voice as he retreats. In response,
知れたこと。私は他の連中のように真っ当な英雄ではない。清純ではない英霊ならば、あの泥と同意。つまり
Archer must consider his chance of victory as Archer charges.
お前ほどではないが、この身もいびつな英霊ということだ。
He cuts the white skull with one blow. The black cloak scatters in all directions. Assassin retreats, clutching at his broken mask. It is not a retreat to regroup, but a retreat to save his life. The black servant runs away from Archer and disappears into the trees.
上出来これで追いつかれる心配もなくなった。ご苦労様アーチャー。疲れたでしょ。しばらく休んでいいから霊体に戻っていて。
Tosaka looks relieved.
リン
Behind her,
と
it appears as if born from the trees' shadows.
何
She looks behind her. At the same time, the black shadow extends its tentacle end.
と坂
I won't make it even if I run. I'll witness Tosaka getting pierced by the black tentacle. But the one I actually see impaled is Archer, who pushes Tosaka aside. Tosaka looks up at Archer without comprehension. It's the end for Archer. He's still breathing and he's not bleeding much. It should be possible for him to heal himself even if he's pierced as long as it's not fatal. But somehow, I understand that Archer cannot fight anymore. That thing kills servants. No matter how strong heroic spirit one is, one cannot beat the Black Shadow as long as one is summoned as a servant. I vaguely comprehend that fact for some reason.
嘘。 あーちゃん、何してんのよ。
Tosaka must have felt the same thing. She calls to Archer with a trembling voice, stands up unsteadily, and
来るな、さっさと逃げろ、タケ。
Archer's shout stops her code. The black shadow throbs. The forest is dying. All the magical energy here is being sucked by that shadow. For some stupid reason, it reminds me of a water balloon. It's like putting more water into an already filled balloon. It's expanding beyond capacity, and I get the bad image of it explode. We'll get sucked up. If we stay here, we'll be engulfed for sure. Archer pulls out the tentacle that pierced him and starts to run to Tosaka. Then I... Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Oh no, no, no. Don't give me that kind of choice. I'm with Ilya. I have to protect her. I protect Ilya. I can't try to save two people. Tosaka has Archer, but Ilya has no one. Then, I have to take Berserker's place. I tackle Ilya, forcing her to the ground. And the instant I cover her body with my own. My vision and perception is filled with black. It's hot. My body is almost blown away. The condensed and released wave of magical energy rages through the forest as a storm. It's not there. My vision is painted black. If it's this dark, even though I can clearly see, a black sun must have come falling down. My body's not there. It's probably melted from the heat. My body's not there. The loss of my sense of touch is more disgusting than the pain. But that's a problem. I can't protect Ilya unless I have a body. The black shadow tries to take Ilya. I feel on my right arm to drive it off. Embracing her with the same arm, I press her to the ground. And I finally realize my body's there. My body must be there, or else I couldn't have protected Ilya. Man, I panicked too much. All I lost was my left arm. That's the only part of me that vanished without a trace. The rest of my body is still there. But I still have the sense of loss. I only lost one of the two. But it feels like I lost my whole body. It's disappearing. The shadow fades away without a trace, its energy spent. Ilya is safe. My ears must be numb as I can't hear what she's saying. What happened to Tosaka? Archer is there? His red cloak is painted deeper red, and he's so weakened that he might disappear in the next second. How strange. Why is she here?
正気ですか？そんなことをすればあなたは
考えるまでもない。何もしなければ消えるのは2人だが、移植すれば確実に1人は助かる。どのみちこの体は限界だ。このまま消えるというのなら、これをくれてやったところで変わるまい。
Archer and Ryder are talking. What the hell's going on? And in the end,
通常ならば死ぬ。人の身に霊体をつなげては助からない。だが、俺とその男は特例だ。リンが目を覚ましたら、うまく処置をしてくれるだろう。
he tenderly runs his fingers through Tosaka's hair. My vision fades to black. The dark sun no longer shines on the forest. Then, the darkness must be falling on my consciousness.
ここまでか。達者だな、遠坂。
God, that's sad. Archer bids farewell in a voice that sounds just like mine. The shadow wavers. The red night is covered in blood, and Tosaka Rin is sitting on the ground dumbfounded. About 5 meters away from them stands the silver-haired girl and Emiya Shiro hand in hand. The shadow wavers. After shrinking like a dead tree, the shadow expands like a blowfish. No, its poisonous nature is like an uglier deep sea fish. The expansion continues without limit, swelling outward and dyeing the forest black. At that instant, the Red Knight dies protecting Tosaka Rin, and Emiyashiro survives by pure luck.